This assessment task is the second part of assessment task 1 with the focus on senior secondary. And this assessment task is the curriculum component of assessment 1. So the aim of this assessment is to become more familiar with the theory and content surrounding VCE within your specialisation. And you are going to develop a report that explores VCE's Unit 1 and 2, the curriculum and the associated documents in one of your specialisation areas. So for this part of the assessment task, 1B, you're going to research Unit 1 and 2, the curriculum documents surrounding that, and explain and document how you would teach the curriculum outcomes. So choosing one area of study and the associated key knowledge and skills for that particular outcome, using the key knowledge dot points as subheadings, write a discussion on how you would teach each key knowledge dot point and substantiate your reasoning and why you've chosen that particular activity with appropriate readings, a range of varied engaging resources, and the VCAA documents. So if we have a look at the study designs, we'll look at biology here. Okay, if I'm going to look at Unit 1 first, I have a look at which area of study I'd like to focus on. We would like you to pick one that you are least familiar with so that you can really gain an understanding of the curriculum behind that, which will make it easier in the long term when you begin teaching. So if I pick area of study 1, okay, we've got one outcome associated with area of study 1. Now this is very similar for a lot of the study designs. Some are set out differently, but the key area of study is, for this one, how do organisms function, and one outcome has a whole lot of key knowledge here. Now in biology, the key skills are in a separate area in the study design. So I'll have a look at these key knowledge and pick 2 and have a look at the key skills and work out which 2 key skills, or 3, or whichever I decide, really link well with, this particular dot point if I choose this one for an example. Some other study designs in different specializations are set out differently. Some have the key knowledge and then the key skill, and it is quite simple to see which key knowledge and key skill go together. And some have it separately. Okay, so just choose, if they're separate, just choose which key skill you'd like to focus on as well. All right, so if I was to choose area of study 1, outcome 1 for biology, I might choose that dot point. I might not choose that one. I might choose, that one. Okay, so it doesn't have to be 2 sequential dot points. It could be any 2 dot points within the particular outcome. Okay, so going back to the assignment, we want you to review, obviously, the study design, as I've said before. The bulletin is important. The advice for teachers contains heaps of examples of activities. You are most welcome to use those, but you also need to think about why it's worthwhile and substantiate why it's worthwhile. Thinking about how it supports learning, different learning needs and differentiation. Okay, so we're not expecting you to create new activities and new experiences for the students. You can if you wish, but all you need to do is make sure that you're referencing throughout, and then obviously explaining why you've chosen that particular activity, why it's worthwhile to the students, how it addresses engagement, differentiation, etc. Okay, so there's an example on Collaborate for you, and the example is biology. You may wish to use this as a guide. You can set it up differently if you wish. Make sure you've got the title of the specialisation, which unit you're focusing on, which area of study, and here we've got the key knowledge, and I've picked a key skill that links clearly to that key knowledge. And I've explained how I'd teach this outcome. Okay, so I'd do a video and I've said, okay, well, video supports visual and auditory learners, for an example. I've got a hands-on task which will engage students, but here we've substantiated and we're using academic readings to say, okay, this is what theory says as well. All right, so I've got a few examples of how I teach that particular dot point. Here's another one. Okay, it's not sequential. This is just another one from the outcome. And I've got a couple of key skills here. You can just choose one. You don't have to choose three. But thinking about how you teach that particular dot point. Okay, there are my activities, and there's some substantiation. Now, the key point to be made here is you don't have that many words to really explain in great detail. Okay, so you need to be concise. You need to use academic referencing. And you only choose 2 key knowledge from that particular outcome that you've chosen. So the example here is only Unit 2. Okay, you would have to keep going and provide 2 key knowledge from one outcome of Unit 1 as well, for an example. Okay. So going back to the assignment, just to recap, we are looking at connections that you're making with what you are writing about in theory, so the first part of the assessment task 1A, and how it actually applies in practice. So what have you addressed in the first part of assessment task 1, so 1A, and what did you find important, and what did you consider for that VCE student? And are these considerations that you've made in A1A, are they reflected in the activities that you've chosen for this part of the assignment? So that's the reference here that you need to make connections between the first section of this assignment, so 1A, and this one, 1B.